Good morning, quilty friends. Today we're gonna make they're like a bowl cozy, but what I'm trying to do is use repurposed fabric. So what I have here are a couple of pair of jeans that we no longer need. Um, these were actually given to us by a friend. The one thing you do want to make sure is that they're 100% cotton, or as high a cotton as possible. Anything that has too much of the stretch or rayon or anything like that is just going to make it really hard to use. I do have to caution that these cozies are only to keep the bowls warm or to keep your hands protected when you're eating something hot or cold. They're not to be used in a microwave for reheating anything. So I've got this one pair that's a little bit darker, and then I also have another pair, again 100% cotton, that are lighter. You want to pick an area where there's a lot of extra fabric that you can cut out. If you don't have the tags in the denim, what you can do is actually pull on it to see if there's any stretch. So these are tight in both directions, so these do not have any stretch content in them. For the inside of the bowls, what I'm doing is I'm using some old towels. And again, I'd like to make sure they're ones that have cotton on them. It's hard to read these tags, but this one says 100% Egyptian cotton. The edges are all frayed, but the inside is perfectly fine. They're unstained. And I actually buy these as grab bags or rag bags at a local secondhand store. As an option, you can buy terry cloth by the yard, which I've done as well, but it's just not as thick as an old good friend towel. And this is a towel as well, which again is 100% cotton. So I think today, just because to keep it simple, I'm just going to be using this gray and this lighter denim. What we're going to do is cut them in, both of these, into 10-inch squares. You can change the size as long as they're equal sizes for both pieces. So 8-inch will make it a smaller bowl. 10 inches fits most soup bowls that people have. You can do 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, whatever's up to you. Today I'm going to make 10 because that's what I find works best in our kitchen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one piece of 10-inch square out of this. I'm going to find a chunk of fabric out of the denim and cut that to 10-inch square, and then I'll be right back. Okay, as I'm cutting the toweling, I wanted to just show you something. Near the end, it tends to bow in because over time they've gone through the laundry. They've had some shrinkage go on, and what happens wherever there's fancy banding, it starts to pull in. So you want to make sure that you're cutting that off before you cut down your final size, because what happens, if you look here, this is probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches overall narrower on this edge versus down here. So I'm just going to quickly cut this off. Probably need a new blade. There we go. And you'll see right away the fabric has started to relax itself. This does fray quite a bit, so you want to make sure wherever you're working that it's not going to bother anything else that you have on the go. So I just want to bring that quick tip to you. These you can use, cut them up and like do a nice zigzag and use them as face scrubs, or you can keep them for strapping, or you can just toss them. I like to keep stuff like this in the kitchen as little scrubbies, so I'll kind of edge this, and you know, I'm all about reusing things instead of going to the store and buying them. So I'm going to square this up. This part will actually take over using 100% cotton batting. So I have to say I love this because I'm not having to go to the store and source another specialty item. So again, we're using a terry cloth, 100% cotton towel, and 100% cotton. In my case, I'm using denim because I'm trying to repurpose some jeans. You could also use some 100% cotton canvas. Let's see what else. Any kind of cotton, quilting cotton, heavy cotton that was used to make a shirt, leftover bedding, whatever you have laying around. So let me get this cut and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got our two 10-inch squares cut. One is from the toweling and one's from the denim. I was looking at the denim and I decided I needed to take it where there's a leg seam, and I want this facing out. So when we do the marking, we're going to have the side we want facing on the outside, now going right side to right side, and we're going to fold it in half, and I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so wherever your fold is, this is where we're going to make a pleat, and this helps to form the bowl cozy. So we want to make that pleat 1 inch over from the folded edge. So this is the folded edge here. We want 1 inch here, so make a mark. We want it 2 inches down. So again, on the fold, we want to make a mark. And then we want to draw a line, which we're going to be sewing to. And I thought my pen wasn't gonna work very well for marking, so I actually brought out some tools that I use for marking with white. One is a Taylor's marking chalk, or it's not really chalk, this is a wax. It comes in a package with different colors. And then my most favorite is a sliver of a bar of soap. So this is leftover from one that we used in the bathroom. It's clean, it makes a beautiful line. See how thin it is? And the beautiful part is it comes out very easily. If you have any fragrance problems, you may want to use a non-fragrant soap, or ask someone if they have some that you can use. So again, here's a seam here, a seam here. And again, it's 1 inch over, 2 inches down, make a dot. We're going to draw a line. And then I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine and sew them from here to here. And I've done the same thing on the toweling. I'm going to sew from there to there. So when I'm done, I'll be right back. Okay, I've got the two pleats done. One's here, one's here. On the toweling, I've got one here, that's one here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite side. So you open this up. This is going to be the inside when we're done, or the outside facing. So now we're going to go the opposite corners. So what you're going to do is the parts you previously sewed, you're going to match those up. That helps keep it centered. And then I like to clip the ends so they don't move around. And matching best you can. And clip. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing on these edges. So again, it's right sides together on the fold. We're going to measure 1 inch over and 2 inches down. We're going to mark those, and then we're going to draw them. This is similar to making a dart in clothing. The only difference is it doesn't matter if you back tack at each end, which I strongly suggest that you do, because these will get used and loved a lot, and you'll want them to hang together really well. I'm using a walking foot on my sewing machine, and the stitch length is about 2.5. And I'm taking it slow because a walking foot is for walking, not for jogging or running. And it goes through all the layers quite well as long as you take your time. The thread I'm actually using a poly cotton blend thread just because that's what my machine likes better. And I know I will not be putting these in the microwave. And then, so that one's done. And again, on the denim one, I'm just showing you this will be the right pretty side out when I'm done. So I'm now going to open this and do right sides together again on here, matching the corners. And I'll get a couple clips. I always think I'm so prepared, and then I realize I'm not. My sewing machine, I didn't even have a walking foot on, so I had to get that all set up. I jump from project to project, so I do a lot of setting up in between. So again, see how it matches, and then these will end up matching as well. So again, we're going to do 1 inch and 2 inch for marking here and here. This will be easier because you're not going to have the extra bulk of a seam if you are like me and have chosen a slightly more difficult route to go. And again, 2 inches from here to here, 1 inch over here. So mark, and then draw. Okay, so I'm going to go and sew here, 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 and here, and be right back. Okay, so now we have all our darts, pleats, whatever you want to call them, made. Again, this is the wrong side facing. So when we turn it out, and the final bowl is going to have this seam here facing out. So I think it's going to look kind of pretty like that for a change. And then with the toweling, take the clips out. So this is going to be the part where the bowl actually sits in. So that's what it looks like. We have all this extra fabric here. So what we want to do is we actually want to trim that back, leaving a 1/4 inch behind. So 1/4 inch over from your seam. You want to trim that off. I find this gets really thick trying to do it with a rotary blade. So what you can do is you can open it up with scissors and then cut one side, or if you've got strong scissors and strong hands, then you can just visualize it and cut both together. So that's what we're trying to do. And we've got to do that on all 4 sides. So that's for toweling. Okay, and then for the denim itself, same thing. We're going to go around and cut these all off. So once you make your first one and get used to the rhythm, you can actually do a bunch of these at the same time, and they don't really take long at all. I did a couple extra mock-ups the other night, and literally in 20 minutes I had 2. So, okay, there we go. So this is going to be the inside, like that. This is going to be the outside. So I'm just going to pull that out again. I think that looks kind of nice myself. I like to do things a bit different, so that's why I'm doing it this way. If you really wanted to add a little bit of extra pizzazz, you could take a belt loop off the jeans and position it on one of the sides. So it could be for holding a serviette, or if you put one on each side, you could actually put your fingers in there as you're carrying the bowl. And then your terry just gets left the way it is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to join them together. What you want to do is you want to have your right side, so your pretty side of the outside of the bowl against the right side of the inside, and you're going to match up wherever these pleats are or darts, your corners. And I like to use clips because it's fairly thick, or if you have some really good pins, you can do that. So you're going to go around and you're going to sew all the way around, and on one edge you want to leave an opening. So what I typically do is about a thumb space from where one of these darts is to thumb space at a corner. I'll leave that open for turning out. Because this is thicker, it's also, when you go to turn it out, it's really hard to get perfect points. So what I do is I tend to go along, I'll sew it like this, but then when you turn it out, it has more of a squared off corner. Some people also like to make them round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pin all this, sew it, and then I'll be right back.
So I thought I'd show you doing the sewing. It's going to get a bit noisy, so I won't be talking through this, but I have left a gap about finger thumb from the seam, and then I've got a pin down here to remind me that's where I need to end. So you're not supposed to go in reverse in a locking foot, but I tend to do that because I'm just doing it as a holding or to lock the stitch. And the secret is to go slowly and just take your time. So I'm watching because the denim is stretching a little bit, even though it's not supposed to. It does. I could pull the terry over a little bit, but I'm trying to make sure I'm catching both of them. I'm a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, that's my marking pin. Stick it out, and we will turn it outside. I'll be right back with you.
Okay, I've turned it all right sides out just to give you an idea of what it looks like. I really like the designer touch with the seam on the outside. And because I tend to design things as I go along, I did add the belt loops. I snuck them into the seam. And because I wanted this to match this, as a design thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these down, and I'm just going to stitch them across here to hold them in place. So I've got one here, and then I'll have one on the other side like this. So when it comes up, you'll see both of them, and I think that's kind of cool. And as I said, if you're carrying a bowl, you can put your fingers in there to help stabilize the bowl. So we have this opening here. So what we need to do is we need to just flip it in a little bit. The corners over here, so I'll use like an old chopstick or something like that. So I'll poke that corner out. I'll push this in just a little bit, like 1/4 of an inch. Same here, to create a seam that matches the rest, and then I'll go around the whole thing and top stitch it. And I'll be bringing these loops down to, I'll probably skip over those, so I won't top stitch those down. I'll leave those up for now. And then once that's all done, then I'll bring these down, and then I'll just do a little stitch there as well, and then I'll be done. So I'll be back in a few minutes to show you what it looks like. And here we are, the finished cozy. This is the outside. I'm just showing you what it looks like. So when you carry it, you can put your fingers in there once you have a bowl. And it looks kind of floppy, but it is very sturdy. The extra stitching on the edge gives it a lot of strength. And I'm just showing you with a couple different bowl sizes in it. So that's a tall soup bowl, and it fits nicely. A larger one, again, it fits nicely in there. And then one that is a shallower bowl to show that that fits in there as well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any comments, please leave them below. You can always email me. My email is below as well. Please like and share and subscribe. I love seeing people enjoying my videos. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Take care and have a great day.